Good morning, everyone. Well, nothing like a little war to get the markets moving. See if it's over already. Craziness. Anyway, as always, each morning we see where things are at. Where are they in relation to support, resistance, and trend? And have they done anything meaningful? And the unknown is, even if they do something meaningful, which they are beginning to, you does it continue, and how do we take advantage of it? So part of the short answer to that is yesterday created a wide range bar or reversals. And so you got what's taking out resistance? Well, taking out yesterday's high is resistance. It's not that meaningful. And as we look to the left to other things, to see what resistance is there. Now, wide range bars are by definition power bars, and we assume they're going to follow through. Similar to something like this. I think that one didn't follow through immediately. That one, right, that didn't follow through, well, a little bit. And now we've got this one here, and it's right up at resistance. So considering the markets have gone sideways for over a month, I would assume, just assumptions, right? That's what we have. When we look at technicals, we look at charts, we come to assumptions. Just based on this wide range bar and the resting period for over a month, I would assume it's going to keep going higher. And of course, the next question is higher to where? Well, I'm looking at the S&Ps here, the futures contract, and you assume, right? It's only Tuesday morning, so we don't know that this is going to close like this on a weekly time frame. But based on yesterday's reversal, news aside, we would assume it's going to close that way for the moment until something suggests otherwise. So any positions, the way I see it, require a stop under yesterday's low. And so maybe some kind of pullback occurs from, this gap up, what gap up this morning that's occurring. Well, it's a big stop, Robert, but there's no choice. Meaning it depends. You have choices. I shouldn't say that there's no choice. If you want to buy, right, just say you were looking at this bar without the new one here. And you say, there's a wide range bar. So things you could think, right? How am I going to get on board? Maybe it'll rest today and you'll get a 1, 2, 3 or some other pattern where it consolidates. You might think I'll buy an intraday pullback since it's a wide range bar, and I'll buy a buy setup on a 5 or a 15-minute chart and get in there. And part of our factory work is when you get a wide range bar, it should stay in the upper 50%. If it's super bullish, it'll stay in the upper third. So any kind of retracements into this bar, right? Let's say, where does that line up with, say, the 20 MA on this particular chart or any other support area like down here? You'd look to target that area to enter with the appropriate pattern on, say, a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart. And from there, we just see what's going to happen. So as always, we look through other markets and see, are they suggesting something otherwise? And I haven't talked about, markets are kind of just drifting lower here, not a big deal for the moment. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking, is there any news today of significance, which I'm taking a look at as I'm speaking here? And come on. Okay. All right. Powell speaking at 10 o'clock. And his main concern is tariffs and clarity on tariffs. Right? So the war, we'll see what he has to say about that, if anything. All right, so let's look at the other markets and continue. Q's top of the trading range. So gapping up in resistance. We'll see how it handles it. Resting period like this, we assume it's going to keep going up. Right? That really hasn't been the case in a big way over the last month, but I mean, maybe it's time. Options expiration is over. It's either going up or this is a fake out, and we'll find out together what it is. Just all of this period of resting here. Um, if it can close strong today, we got to believe it's going to keep going higher. All right. Russell futures, a little more, I don't know, erratic, pullback, reversal, resistance up there. Let's see where it's going to close. As I look at this, if you want to trade this, again, the stop would have to be under yesterday's low. It's not the greatest of patterns, so, um, but of course, anything intraday is doable. Little initial upside shake out there, not a big deal since it hasn't broken below these lows. And Dow, just a trading range. It's been the weaker. It's just moving up toward the top of the trading range. So that definitely is underperforming. And that also suggests to me, just based on this particular chart, there's nothing to do here. Maybe short it, if it gets to the top and there's a breakout failure for a day trade. But other than that, of course, you can't do, I don't think this has zero DTE, but we never look at it, tell you the truth. Well, I know diamonds do, so maybe the futures do, but back to this pattern here. Can it close this way on Friday or higher or close above here to suggest it's going to keep going up? And this one being the underperformer, theoretically, right, historically, it should start to outperform since it's got the room to move up. We'll see. Gold is down. This thing has just been all over the place lately, and I guess everything has been. That's what we've been talking about for a while now. It's the erratic price action. So market's up, gold's coming in a little bit. Uh, see silver is down. Really not a big deal yet. Oil. What a reversal. I was going to say friggin' collapse. Wow. You know, I guess, we talked about this head and shoulders pattern here, you know, and took advantage of some of the oil stocks as they started to move up. And you have to know that, we heard some stuff going on, but more people in the know that are, there on the ground, seeing what's going on. It ran up, and now the war, is it over? I don't know. But what a collapse. What a crushing collapse there. So, all right. So with that coming in, uh, helping transports, had a good day, and we'll see how kind of follow through they have. The airlines that look like they were going to roll over, with that drop, they had a reversal. Nothing attractive there to look at anyway. But now interest rates coming down all day yesterday, and the day before, still within trading range here. So nothing of significance there. And let's see here, the gap up, put it in perspective. Right, so gapping up to the top of that pivot high there. This bad ticks. Right? I don't know if something happened this morning. Even I don't think. Look at I have it on e-signal too. Like something happened here. I think it was around this time. E-signal showed around 8 o'clock. I guess when this craziness happened and it gapped up, something happened with the data at that time. Anyway, so gapping up to a pivot high, percentage wise, what this gap is. Gapping, gapping. Must be from yesterday. It looks like about 1%. So that's a sizable gap. And up at the top of the range there, the initial assumption is that it would there'd be some sellers up there. All right, let's do SPX. Oh, Bitcoin. Yeah. Certainly yesterday, like many things, was starting to roll over and things turned around in a big way. And this is just in the middle of the range here. So another one, we'll just have to see how it ends the day since it's into this resistance area. And this is, well, right up at that pivot high. Oh, the initial slide there on on the cues, you know, it was kind of a little sarcasm there, but here was the death cross. You remember back there, and I think there were other indices that had the death cross of the 50 crossing below the 200, which was the low. And so as I mentioned this yesterday, and I see it, this moving up, and it'll definitely cross with the gap up here today. Well, it's got to wait till the close to really see what it is, but initially it'll move up there. And wouldn't it be something if that was the high of this move here, and this turns out to be a breakout failure, kind of a breakout failure, not really breaking out yet. But this is the only one that I saw. Maybe this is some ETFs, but I didn't. None of the major market indices were having that cross. And as far as some kind of a failure, I'll mention the internals don't support that. They're just neutral, so no information there as to a higher probability of this being a failure. All right. I have to just check SPX from where it was earlier. So this hasn't moved since when last I checked it, right at the pivot high. And so the largest open interest is still 6,000. And we've seen how this is contained prices within that area for the longest time. So will it be pulled back? Well, we'll find out. It's right up there at that pivot high. So gapping up like that, part of the assumption is there'll be sellers in that area. In addition, there should be buyers if it pulls back into filling the gap. And one of the things that my expectation is when I see something that is gapping up from a resting period like this is it should not fill the gap. That doesn't mean it won't, but it's just historically it tends to be a greater potential for something to be wrong if it fills the gap. It's like, so think about it. If you rested, you was say a runner, and you rested for 3 days, you wouldn't take a rest immediately. And so that's the thinking with that. It shouldn't fill the gap after a resting period. It should hold up. Whatever sellers there are going to be, they should be met with enough demand to hold it at resistance area and go sideways. That's some kind of little time correction. So as a thought for the day. And then 6,100 is the next whole number. So there'll be some sellers there, and there's already the volume is picking up bets that, that it's going to get there today and possibly above. So we'll keep an eye on that. So let me just double check these numbers. That's where they were 15, 20 minutes ago. Same thing, same thing. Hmm. That inched down a few strikes. Okay. So if things should continue up, I'd go back to the of course anything above 6,100, you want to be on the other side of a whole number as a general concept. But so between the strikes, this is going to open right in the middle of the range. And, you know, average true range about 60 points from there. Could get to either way. I don't think it's going to, unless war, they drop another bomb or some stupidity. It's not, no way should it be going back down here today. If it does, you know that the top is in. Right? More, more than likely, it should try and move up toward at least 6,100 or better. What about the big volume options expiration you mentioned a day ago? Well, it's over, right? So all of that money that was evaporating, options expiration is over. Um, and so news is which has been driving this market, tariffs, war, whatever, is still pushing it around. And so the options expirations, not always, but they have a tendency to be turning points. So maybe, this turning point is going to be the upside. We'll see. To you, Dan, any economic bomb? No, look, Powell's been steadfast on his opinion as to lowering interest rates and wanting more information. And I know the pressure, if you listen to different people, in news, whatever, besides Trump, more and more the chorus is pushing for a cut. They want that liquidity. They want that, injection of crack, to keep the liquidity going and markets, buoyant. So we'll see what he says.
Yeah, I agree. I personally think the risk of a move with Powell now is to the upside, that he starts to become more dovish. But that's just my opinion for the same reason. And I heard one guy saying that we have some CPI report coming out here before the next meeting. And as long as that one doesn't um, register anything bad, then
The
yeah,
end of the week, Dan, is PCE, supposedly their favorite inflation gauge.
yeah. So yeah, so as long as that comes in good, then I think it's pretty good for next one. Although the black guy, Fed guy, he was on the other day saying, no, I don't expect any in the next two meetings, but who cares? We'll take it day by day. Look at this Uber I saw. This is not how we define a W bottom. We just call it a retest. And it's a very sloppy buy setup on the weekly. But now with the gap up, it's a 4 bar turn. So that's a big gap up. But let's see if we can watch for a quick spread. There's a lot of beautiful breakouts here yesterday, and we only have one short. That's airline ALK that we're in hope mode. Hasn't hit the stop yet, but with oil collapsing, that helped airlines, and everything else we're fully bullish. And I'll go through as many as I can here, but a lot of beautiful patterns here that I just don't want to be in a rush with the gap up. But I'll look at them here in a second. Stavros said on social media, he said, "Are we going to get a melt up in the market?" And the answer is, well, we don't know yet, but very possible. Very, very possible. We get a closing breakout, and then all the FOMO people are going to jump on board, and we get a melt up to new highs. Yeah, that's very possible. But as always, we'll just trade our patterns, alarms, shack. We bought a half lot yesterday, up alarm, hit my 137 right there. Echo Alpha. I gave this as a new trade, igniting. It's a pseudo inverse head and shoulder, left shoulder, right shoulder, head, price void, bullish weekly. I gave Morgan Stanley. Uh, if you didn't mind overnight risk, this would have been a good one to hold overnight. We did not. I was just because of all the intraday war stuff yesterday. And the markets are still holding incredibly well, even though Trump went on a tirade on the news saying that Iran, Israel both have already violated the ceasefire. Market's holding up very well. And do you remember both Alex and I were saying yesterday? Well, he typed it, I verbally was saying it. If the markets don't go down on bad news, then the pressure is to the upside, the bias. They want to go higher if bad news will not bring it down. And so that's what I was saying when I made that comment about um, us having a bullish day yesterday when we expected a big old ugly gap down yesterday following US involvement over the weekend. Stone up alarm. We're in this, we're in trail mode. And I said yesterday, this is actually a good pattern to add. Um, that's a nice little buy setup within 50% of that WRB. So that looks good to add. I'll set a fire alarm. Lulu, we're not in this, but I've been watching this for a couple of weeks. We're waiting for a turn. Don't have a turn yet. CMG, we bought a half lot yesterday and did a put spread. That hit my up alarm. We'll be looking to add on that. And that's it on alarms. Earnings here, there's not many. CCL. That's a big gap up. Gapping above my screen here. So you look at the cousins. There's only two of them. RCL is up. And CLH is weaker. See, this is a great example of maybe the laggard plays catch up. Look at this, under the 100. The others were significantly higher. RCL has been the best for years. So maybe a put spread on this. KBH. KBH is down, but I saw on CNBC showed a bunch of housing stocks and they were all up. I think there was a number. All right, SNX would be a breakout trade if it were opening flattish, but look at this $10 move up and down. You got to let that settle down. All right, that's the rest of this. I just have a big list. FI was on my list yesterday. It was a gap breakout here from a bottoming pattern. And they said they're going to start building a stable coin, infrastructure thing. This circle has been on fire since its IPO. The calls are insanely priced. So I've been playing around selling those naked. I want a more confident entry before I give it the subscribers, but that's a climb over the big old topping tail. Relative weakness today. Yeah, SYF Regional Bank looks great. Starbucks is trying to make the turn. Broke out, and I like this yesterday's bar is a retest of this buy setup. So that's what I like here. The weekly is bullish inside bars. Ideally, we get one or two more inside bars. Michael Jackson, we're short this. This is marijuana ETF, so this continues just to be a dog, which is good for our short, of course. I don't know. Wow. Wow, that tanked last night. Look at that. It closed at 25 bucks and now it's 17. I don't know what the news is there. DeFi development. No pattern. Charlie Romeo, Sam gave me. I posted this. The buy setup with a potent reversal. RJF I posted, another regional bank coming out of this big old base. It's another pseudo inverse head and shoulder. Here's your head, left shoulder, right shoulder. But I like that Morgan Stanley the best. That's I have Morgan in the other chart. NI igniting breakout. This would be a great 1, 2, 3 if we get it. Pelletier, strong. Yeah, we'll see. 30-minute high. Dollar Tree grinding uptrend. Citicorp, another strong bank. Not good. Not it's a good entry here. Crowd, I was looking to sell a put spread. That's an igniting bar and an uptrend. Dash, closing breakout. That looked good. Snow, yeah, yeah, gap breakout. Yeah, there's a lot of breakouts. Many times based on what the market environment is doing is when you'll get climos, you'll get buy setups, you get many of the same patterns. And the flavor right now is breakouts. Crowd, no, I did that one. Pan W, breakout. So these are all candidates for directionals and put spreads. Zulu Sierra. The only thing I don't like about this one is the moving averages are more extended from some of the others. So that's just kind of a little warning. 10B, potential bottoming pattern. We talked about it yesterday, hoping to get a 1, 2, 3 for tomorrow. Dollar General had a strong close. They got a downgrade today. All right, so this morning it was an adequate retracement, but it's selling off more now, so no interest. T-Doc had a big igniting breakout yesterday on volume. That'd be a beautiful naked put, but there was no premium. That's extended intraday. There's our Morgan. Alex, this is your Climo here, LFST. It's a Climo. And by yesterday's high, patterns like that, I think they can go up 1 to 3 days. And W duplicate. EVR. Closing breakout. You can buy over the high. I like that one. Buy was a short idea. It's still weak. So I got my alarm at 100. Algem, little kind of bull rectangle. Looks good. Tapestry. A grinder. Looks good, but now the gap's messing me up. Warning. Looks good. Closing breakout. IAI. And this is broker dealer. Looks good. Daily, weekly. Tap, another Climo, but no turn yet. SYF, that's the one Alex mentioned. Raymond James, I mentioned. AXSM was a short watch yesterday, but I canceled it. But I still have my alarm down here. Cat is a long watch on a pullback. Cat looks great. So
Check out ADP as definitely a put spread. Can even be an intraday directional.
definitely, yeah, yeah. That's whenever I look at patterns, it's many times I think of our hundreds and hundreds of MT lives, and
Hey,
this was
this dog that you were in a couple of weeks ago, Big Bear. It's a lot of volume coming into this thing lately. Like it's gonna, I think it may be worth another position if you're not in it anymore to see if it breaks out.
yeah top of the range though, but sure. Yeah, and the puts are ludicrous spreads on this. So why don't we do half lot 5 minute high, half lot 30-minute high? Because that, yeah, that has room to go. First target 20 MA. Get some alarm. Hey, that bah alarm. Saying that
Hmm.
that was either you or Sal. Bah, B-A-H. That's still weak. I still like it. Um, Today's Tuesday, so that would be, let's short 99.61, 99.48. Let's short a half lot under 99.48. AX, so AXSM alarm. The circle, I have a nice open game. Let me check how spready it is to close it. Oh, still has juice. Metal charts coming in, I see, so nothing to do there. CHRW was a short, it was a transport, so crashing oil hurt us on that. Let's move stop 5 minute high. Got filled on my circle at a nice gain. So I've been playing market maker with it, so I'll put another order out. Um, low offerish. I looked at self this morning. I didn't think it was ready. Shoot, I posted EVR and the gap and go is messing it up. Darn it. I don't chase these things. But it's a nice close. Starbucks alarm, but it's too early, nothing to do. CMG alarm, nice. We have two trades. We're long and short of put spread. EA, shoot, cat messed us up. Darn. Greg Cat, that's not as extended. By 30-minute high or pullback.
Buy it into the gap fill.
Nice gap. That's the problem when you get a big market gap. Yeah, I'm just not gonna chase these. Here. Actually, I had this posted yesterday, but I canceled it, so I didn't have to retype it. Call alarm coming in. Yeah, it must look great. Lulu, up alarm, finally hit my 230. It's not a potent turn yet, and it's only 9:39, but it might be the start. Yes, it is. Wow, I would have expected a lot more premium. 220s are only 45 cents naked. Down by yesterday's low, that's nothing. Wow, I'm shocked that's so low. Stone, I mentioned you could add. That was a nice pattern. We're already in it, but looks great. Tighten stuff now. 1455. Market's holding extremely well. Nvidia and Amazon and Meta are flying. Apple pulled in, filled the gap. Tesla gap and crap a little bit. We had a nice put spread on that yesterday. And tomorrow, MT Live on Tesla. Nice out on my circle there, bottom right. I'll be looking to add. Wow, Lulu ripped $2 from my 2:30 alarm already. This could be the day. I wish the premium were bigger. I don't trust it as a directional until it closes. The HRW stop 994.65. With the market holding, let's go ahead and kill this thing now. Transport's holding well, so we'll just lower the loss by and that's an interesting comment. I've never heard that before. And I would say that's a personal choice. It's because it always has to do with reward to risk and your confidence. And the saying that you pay a price for certainty. That's what that is. Do you want to pay a higher price when you have more certainty, or start to leg in when you're not as comfortable? So I totally get it, but that's why I'm saying it's a personal choice. DME is still acting weird, not participating. We have a half lot. Yeah, oil rig. Oh yeah. Yeah, we stopped. Man. Yep, we stopped out. Yeah, oil really helped these sectors. And cute, 30-minute high. Wow, I did you. I'm good up. What's up, Brad? That doesn't look right. Yeah, no, I had a wrong symbol there. I don't like the 200 right there. I think I like McHugh's the best, 30-minute high. But then you got Powell talking, so definitely wouldn't go all in. But let me see what the juice bar is. Zero DTE. 534, only 34 cents. Look at all that. Okay, uh, it's bottoming. I think I'd rather trade these stronger breakout stocks that I that I got on my list, although the gap has messed up a bunch of them. So a third of it. I'm looking at the hourly now. The weekly's at this prior highs. RSI. I think trade's sloppy. So for me, I'd prefer a put spread under here if there's any shoots. Or in up alarm from yesterday. So RSI, oh yeah, that would even do the 14s. When you have a bullish pattern, and you don't mind owning the stock, you don't have to go under support. But the problem is there's no good strengths. 12 and a halves or 0 by 20, and there's no 13 or 14. And Whirlpool, uh, it looks higher, getting far from the 20 though. I'd rather things closer to support in the 20 myself. Um, like cat. I think I like cat better than Whirlpool. See the difference? Close to the moving average, gets some support. Check this circle again. Hey, you know what, Sam? I'm 4 for 4 on selling naked calls on this. So what do you think I'm thinking right now? Well, I'll give you a multiple choice. Do you think I'm thinking I got this thing nailed? It's a cash register. I'm just gonna keep doing it over and over again. Or do you think I'm thinking I better be more careful? You know, like this thing might rip in my face when I'm not looking. Right. So the answer is both of them. But no. It's not the first one. I totally take that back. I totally take that back. It's not. It's a cash register. This is easy. I've mastered this stuff. That's not what I meant. What it meant was, yes, I'm cautious. I'll still do it, but with the normal, regular discipline checklist. I need a pattern, how far away, et cetera, et cetera. So right now, and well, you can go a lot higher, Alex, on 350. It depends on how much premium you want. Like the 400s right now are only a dime spread. That is amazing. That strike was amazingly liquid. You get a buck 30 for them. But would I do them right now? No, because it's like an inside bar above the open. So no, it's not ready. But I just wanted to look at premiums. And they even have asinine premiums for next week at further strikes too. Our ARK, ARKK, up alarm. That's an ETF letter. And these premiums are in frigging insane. The 90 TE 445 is 4.4 by 5.1. That this volatility has not come in very much.
Well, Russell reversal down under its open.
Right, that's what Alex said, that he's shorted it.
Yeah. Qs and spiders look like they're right on top of the open here. In the Qs. Google is holding well. Oh, I don't know who's hamburger. The daily chart didn't look good on it, but 5-minute chart looks like it's going to go higher.
Greg, we have 2/3 arc left. How do you want to manage it from here?
Under yesterday's low.
All right, I didn't know if you wanted to come down here, which is where it is now,
Oh,
or a third under yesterday's low. So that's
yeah,
what.
that's better.
Okay, so that's fine. I ask sometimes. So it's a judgment call. 664. Yeah, that's where it is already. Yep, see why I wasn't rushing into things. I didn't give a single new long today because the gap messed them up. But still, our 30-minute low saved us at least for now on this. We have a half low. Two, two. Why is Don hamburger? Is that when he worked at Wendy's in college? Is that why? Oh, I said I didn't give any longs, and it's an incorrect statement. I just didn't give them from my posted ones. So let me see. Well, I gave cat, but it didn't trigger yet. I gave it on the pullback. Bob was a short. Where's the one I said? ADP. There you go. That's the one I didn't post yet. I said half. Uh-huh, it saved us. So let's cancel that. I gave half 5-minute high, half 30-minute high. So now that's relative weakness. I'll still put an alarm on it. All right, so yeah, cat's the only one, but it hasn't triggered yet. Yeah, that should not have done that on ADP. Oh, but Greg, it's, another thing to consider on ADP long is, I think I read his cousin paychecks is tomorrow. But I canceled it anyway. Yeah, we got 10 o'clock. Yeah, so we got Al on deck. Oh, shack alarm. This thing looks horrible. 2077. Oh, no, this stopped down yesterday. Half log. What happened to this thing yesterday? That's not normal. I remember, this hymns got killed, but that was because of some bad news. They got they got fired by NBO, their deal. Yep, see what's on the list from yesterday. Yeah, holding up well on the 15 also.